Hello, everyone. You're listening to Cinema 5000 Podcast. My name is Mallory. This is my podcast. I've got 5 movies to talk to you about on this episode, but before we get into those, I want to quickly talk to you about the Oscars. Those happened a couple weeks ago. I sadly didn't get to record a podcast episode about it, my reactions, because I've been kind of sick. I had a really bad cold. I'm still a little bit congested from the cold, but I'm doing a lot better. Just not 100% yet. But I want to talk to you about the ceremony. I think Conan O'Brien did a good job, but I guess the production itself of the awards and the direction I just wasn't really happy with. I was very surprised by a couple things that happened that were just not successful. Specifically, I want to talk about how did K-pop Demon Hunters Golden not start the show? The song is about golden. We're going up, 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 and the statue's golden. You couldn't open it. It happened much later in the show, and they really kind of didn't intro it well. I was shocked, I tell you. And then another thing I was not so happy with was some of the bits that people did on screen. Sigourney Weaver and Pedro Pascal presented Best Visual Effects with the help of Kate Hudson and Grogu. Oh yeah, well that's a promo for Mandalorian and Grogu, the film, coming to theaters in May 2026. Great. Also being on stage together was the cast of Bridesmaids, most of the cast at least. They did this comedy bit, but I think it went too long. It just felt like it overstood its welcome, and I felt like it could have been tighter. I was like kind of like, not the best reaction, but above all, something I really didn't care for was Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans trying to do a bit together. No, get off the stage. Yeah, some of the pacing of how things were set up with what award came next and how things moved just didn't feel as smooth as it could have. Again, that's nothing to do with Conan. It's about the people behind the scenes and how they do the show. Some things I did like, though, the performance of I Lied to You from Sinners. Miles Caton got his big moment on the stage singing, and it was great. It was a recreation of the big musical moment in the film. It was very nice to see. I don't know about the stage, but I think overall, the general look of everything was fine for the show. It opened with Amy Madigan winning for Weapons. Now, the absolute beginning of the show started with Conan O'Brien and Gladys makeup going through every single scene of all the nominated films. It was funny. And so then seeing Gladys herself win an award was nice. Amy Madigan winning, it's been 40 years since her last nomination in the very same category, Best Supporting Actress. And when she was announced as the winner, I would have loved to have seen Tiana Taylor win from One Battle After Another, or Wun Musako from Sinners. Like, those are my 2 favorite films nominated besides The Secret Agent, and it was just an accident. So I was pulling for them, but Amy Madigan, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Weapons, and I think that character's fine. I don't love it, but it's pretty cool to see like a horror performance get acknowledged. Like in recent years, people have been very vocal about Lupita Nyong'o not getting nominated for Us, and Toni Collette not getting nominated for Hereditary. So seeing Amy Madigan win, it's a good nomination. It's a good win. Her moment in winning, she just was pretty surprised, and right when it was announced, Ed Harris, her husband, looked at her and was just like giving this look of like, I told you so, honey. Just great. And she was clearly very moved by the moment. And again, horror performance winning. It's been a long time, probably not since Ruth Gordon winning for Best Supporting Actress in Rosemary's Baby in the late 60s. Like, that is crazy. Sean Penn was not there to win Best Supporting Actor. I think that's a really great performance. It's a good win, but that category, much like Best Supporting Actress, stacked. Like, anybody winning in that category I would have been happy with, even Jacob Elordi, when I'm not a huge fan of Frankenstein. Frankenstein did take home 3 awards. It took home Best Costume Design, Best Production Design, and Makeup and Hairstyling. I like the Makeup and Hairstyling win. I don't know about the other 2. F1 won for Best Sound. For Best Casting, that went to One Battle After Another. A great win. I don't know about this category in the future. I just hope it doesn't always line up with like the Best Picture winner, but I think the nominations there for that category were pretty good. We had One Battle After Another. We had The Secret Agent, Sinners, Marty Supreme, and Hamnet. I don't know about Hamnet, but That's not my bag. Best original screenplay went to Sinners. This category was so stacked, but Ryan Coogler has an Oscar, and this is probably the first of many he is going to have in his entire career as a filmmaker. But this category, like, listen to these nominations: Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, It Was Just an Accident, and Blue Moon. Great nominations. Adapted screenplay went to One Battle and After Another, and Paul Thomas Anderson got his first Oscar, and he came on stage and said, you know, you guys make a guy work really hard for one of these. He's been making movies for so long. He's done so many movies that have led to wonderful careers for its actors. And Boogie Nights was nearly 30 years ago when it got its first nominations. I love Boogie Nights so much. It's my favorite movie of all time. So seeing Paul win was great. It beat out Hamnet, Train Dreams, Begonia, and Frankenstein for adapted screenplay. Cinematography went to Sinners, went to Autumn Durald Arkapaw. She's the first woman to ever win Best Cinematography in 98 years. You got to do better, Academy. I really hope this leads to more women getting nominated for Best Cinematography. Best Editing went to One Battle After Another. I mentioned Best Sound, that went to F1. And let's see, what else? Best Original Song went to K-Pop Demon Hunters. Again, that should have been performed at the beginning of the show. And Best Animated Feature also went to K-Pop Demon Hunters. Best International Feature went to Sentimental Value from Norway. I was pulling for It Was Just an Accident or The Secret Agent, but it went to Sentimental Value, and that's fine. I really like Joachim Trier, though the Oscar goes to the country of Norway, but Joachim Trier got on stage and he just made a great speech. He mentioned something that James Baldwin mentioned about the future and children, and it was a great speech, like just a great moment. He came out and the first thing I think he said was like, I'm just a film buff from Norway, and it's, you know, I will follow him. I'm not always a fan of his movies like Big Time. Like Sentimental Value is not my favorite of his movies, but I really like him as a filmmaker, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Best Documentary Feature went to Mr. Nobody Against Putin. I was really pulling for The Perfect Neighbor. I haven't seen every movie in this category, but I did see Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and I thought it was fine. I talked about that on a previous episode. So not my choice in that category. Best Animated Short went to The Girl Who Cried Pearls. Now, I didn't see every movie nominated in this category. I didn't see Three Sisters, but that was, you know, top three. I quite liked Retirement Plan and Butterfly, also nominated. I thought Butterfly was going to take it, but The Girl Who Cried Pearls is like a really captivating story. Now, Best Documentary Short went to All the Empty Rooms, which was a short about gun violence and school shootings and the children whose bedrooms now are empty, and a mother who came out who lost her daughter to gun violence in her school came on stage with the winners, and she gave a very pointed speech. Above all, like a lot of the speeches like were the best thing that happened during this entire broadcast. There were just so many genuine moments from people who were winning or came on stage with the accepting parties, and just like had a moment. Though oddly enough, I will say, like there seemed to be kind of not a lot of political talk, and the Oscars are the place for it. I mean, artists are able to speak to power and to speak to conflict, and I felt like that was something that was kind of missing from the broadcast. But one moment that was just a shock, I will say, and something that thankfully went very smoothly was the category of Best Live Action Short. Camille Nanjiani came on stage to present. He had a good opening thing to talk about short films and shorter titles and things. But he opened the envelope and he went immediately like, oh my gosh, it's a tie. This is not a joke. And he handled it perfectly. I'm like 90% sure, like the dress rehearsals and such, they prepare the people presenting the award for the possibility of a tie and how they handle it, because there's just no way. How is he so prepared and able to do this like seamlessly? He just like went ahead and said, we're going to announce one winner, they're going to have their speech, and then the next winner is going to be announced and they're going to have their speech. And so when they announced the singers was the first award, I knew that the next group of winners was going to be the team from Two People Exchanging Saliva, which I loved. That was my favorite short in all of the shorts I saw. I really loved it. The singers, not my favorite, but that one as well. So Two People Exchanging Saliva, if you have not seen it, watch it. It's on YouTube. I thought it was great. It's something that I feel like could make a full feature film, like for sure. It's terrific. Yeah, so what else to talk about? Oh, well, I guess we got to talk about Best Actor and Best Actress. Best Actress went to Jessie Buckley. Everybody kind of knew she was going to win. She won like every award under the sun. She gave a great speech. You know, Rose Byrne was also nominated for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You. I was pulling for her. Then Renata Reinsve in Sentimental Value, Emma Stone in Begonia, and Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue. I liked, you know, most of these performances. Kate Hudson in Sung Blue, yeah, I did. But yeah, Jessie Buckley, she was going to take it. She did. And Best Actor, oh man, so I like all of these performances. My heart was saying Wagner Moura has to win. You know, the secret agent has to get something somewhere. And I'm also thinking Ethan Hawke is totally due to win an award at some point for Blue Moon. Leonardo DiCaprio is, you know, the star of One Battle After Another, and it's a really solid performance. But Timothée Chalamet, maybe he is due. This is his third performance nomination, Best Actor. And last year he didn't win for Complete Unknown. So is this the year for Marty Supreme? No, it went to Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, and he had just won the SAG, or the Actor Award rather, a couple weeks prior, and that was such a big moment on that award show. And him winning here, it was pretty clear everybody from Sinners was so psyched for him. He's, you know, he is one of the leading actors out there who has a number of hit films under his belt. He's also a director now too, so yeah, it's a great win. I like him in Sinners a lot. You know, it is more difficult than you might think for that kind of performance, not just playing two people, but the kind of things he has to do in the film. And I'm so excited for Sinners. It won 4 awards. I wish it had won more, but it did not. No, it did not win Best Director either. That went to Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another. He got his second award of the night. It was a big moment, like, wow. But he was, you know, already very much a heralded director at this point, regardless of having an Oscar or not. And then One Battle After Another went on to win Best Picture. I would have loved to have seen Sinners win Best Picture. It didn't happen, but One Battle After Another got 6 awards. Sinners got 4. Frankenstein got 3. Avatar got 1. F1 got 1. Sentimental Value got 1. Yeah. It was a good night. Like I said, all the acceptance speeches were just tremendous. And from this award show, I can't wait to see what Paul Thomas Anderson does next. I can't wait to see what Ryan Coogler does to follow up Sinners, what Michael B. Jordan's going to do. Delroy Lindo, you're going to get nominated again. You're going to win. I'm putting it out there. He's just tremendous. I'm just such a fan. If you guys haven't seen Clockers, watch Clockers. He's also good in just so many things. I'm even thinking about like Gone in 60 Seconds. He's good in that too. Always been good. Always been great. And yeah, not the best Oscars, but a fun Oscars. I like Conan. I can't wait to see Conan next time. And they ended the show at the very, very end with like a skit with Conan for One Battle After Another, and it was very funny. So if you didn't see it, look it up. It's good. It's funny. Yeah, so not a great Oscars, but it was a good time. So, but enough talk about awards. We need to talk about what I've recently seen. Oh boy. So we're at 5,966 films. I feel like I'm going to hit 6,000 in the next 2 months. Absolutely need to hit it before July. It just would not be good for me to only watch like 30 some movies between now and July. Ending Q2 with not watching that many. Oh my gosh. I can't let that happen. I have to gotta get on the ball. Let's go. But the first one we're going to talk about is EPiC. Elvis Presley in Concert. Says it's 2025, but it was just released in theaters, directed by Baz Luhrmann. The tagline is, Elvis sings and tells his story like never before. Long lost footage from Elvis Presley's legendary Las Vegas residency in the 1970s, woven together with rare 16mm footage from Elvis on tour and 8mm footage from Graceland Archive, plus recordings of Elvis telling, quote, his side of the story, unquote, rediscovered during Baz Luhrmann's research for his 2022 film, Elvis. I'm not an Elvis fan. I've never really like been like, oh my God, Elvis music is so good. Never so much cared for it. But I do like the movie Elvis, and Baz Luhrmann is a showman. Elvis is a showman. It's a perfect match here. Taking this footage and turning it into a experience of a concert, and the flamboyant nature of Elvis paired with the, huge opulent stylings of Baz Luhrmann. It's great. The footage is restored and it looks tremendous. It's absolutely terrific. I'm so sad I never got the chance to see this in an IMAX theater, because there's just nothing close for like regular IMAX, not Limax, the theaters that seem big, but they're not real IMAX, I had a really great time watching this. I got my crap together with not feeling so good, and I was like, I have to go see the Elvis movie before it leaves the theater, and I'm so glad I did that. I had a really good time. It was really hard to leave the movie when I had to go to the bathroom too. I was like, no, I want to watch Elvis. It was a good time. He's such a like tremendous showman, and there's all these little interview bits where he talks about his music and performing and how he is and what he's gone through in life and how he's gotten to this point. They also touch on Colonel Tom Parker too. Yeah, this is a fun movie. I had a really, really solid time watching this in the theater, and if this is on digital, you need to watch it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I had a really fun time watching it, and I don't know what else to say. Like, there's good concert movies, and then there's great concert movies. I think this is one of the greats. There's just a lot of really, really crafty filmmaking that is paired with Elvis, and it all feels right. So good job, Baz Luhrmann. 3.5 stars for this. Maybe I should rate it 4. Maybe I'll watch it again and give it 4 on another look. So it's a good time. Check it out. Oh yeah, it sounds great too. It looks great. It's vibrant. It's tremendous. It's Elvis. Now let's talk about Up the Sandbox from 1972, directed by Irvin Kershner. If that name sounds familiar, Irvin Kershner directed The Empire Strikes Back. Ever heard of it? The tagline is, "What's Barbara up to? Up the marriage trap, up the revolution, up the Zambezi River, and up to something surprisingly wonderful. Bored with day-to-day life in New York City and neglected by her husband, a young wife and mother slips into increasingly outrageous fantasies. Her mother breaking into her apartment, an explorer's demonstration of tribal fertility music at a party causing strange transformations, and joining terrorists to plant explosives in the Statue of Liberty." This is a woman in 1972 who is a housewife and seemingly has a decent life, but things start to kind of show their cracks, and she starts to suspect things such as like her husband having an affair with the secretary, and she has this like fantasy of like how she feels like the conversation would go if she confronted the woman, but it doesn't happen. And then she starts to have this experience of like going to this press conference and has a political discussion with the figure who is like Fidel Castro, and I don't know if he was like distinctly named as Fidel Castro. I only say he was. But then she ends up in this weird hotel room situation where bizarre things happen. It's all happening to her. She is having these weird thoughts and visions about life, about experiences, about her children. And this is a really fun, strange, surrealist comedy of sorts. All the while, Barbra Streisand is like terrific in this. She is so good. I haven't seen a lot of Barbara's movies, but this makes me want to watch all of them. I just think the camera loves her. She's so convincing. She is a performer, and she really distinctly makes her character Margaret feel like a really average everyday woman in what she's going through, of course in a theatrical sense. Like, this is not a documentary, but I had a lot of fun with this movie, as bizarre as it was, as very much of the moment as it was. Like, some people might watch this movie and just think it's too crass in some ways, and some of the things it tries to do might feel too ridiculous, but the fantasy and the issues of being a woman in the 1970s, it's a strange, odd journey, but you all kind of know where it's like heading when you have no idea at the same time, because it wants to tell this tale about womanhood and life and experiences, and what do you do, when things are kind of becoming conventional. I don't know. It's like, it's strange, but I had so much fun with it anyway. I heard some like sort of positive things about it, but maybe some not so like glowing reviews too, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to watch the night I watched this. And I just saw it and I was like, I have to watch this. It's 97 minutes. It's Barbara in a surrealist satire comedy. You could do worse. It's now available on Canopy in case you have that. Otherwise, it is available as a digital rental. I don't know if this has always been available everywhere, but check it out. Up the Sandbox. It's a strange one. It's like an unmarried woman if she was still married, and there was a lot of surrealism. There you go. Yeah, it's quite the production too. I will say that. Like, there's a lot of ways that they use New York and the different settings she gets herself into. Like, just, it's fun. It's so odd, but I had a great time. Now let's talk about Wuthering Heights from 2026, directed by Emerald Fennell. The tagline is "Come Undone." Tragedy strikes when Heathcliff falls in love with Catherine Earnshaw, a woman from a wealthy family in 18th century England. But before she was wealthy, she was just Cathy, and he was just a boy that her father, the evil Mr. Earnshaw, who was very abusive, takes in. So she names him Heathcliff. It's Cathy and Heathcliff. They're these two young children playing with each other. She nags on him. They have, bickering, children kind of stuff, and they're very immature, but they're kids, right? I think that's where the movie is at its best, where it really talks about these children and the lives that they're living and dealing with her father, who, is very harmful and toxic and awful to them. Also really awful to Nellie, who in later times is played by Hong Chow. But then when the kids, Heathcliff and Cathy, grow up, Cathy becomes Catherine, who's Margot Robbie, and Heathcliff is played by Jacob Elordi. And they are both very much into each other, but they're still very childlike in how they talk to each other and how they behave. And that childlike problem of how they behave together also comes in conflict with the fact that Cathy, she desires to live a life other than what she has, but she also has desires for Heathcliff. But she ends up getting engaged to Mr. Linton, Edgar, and Edgar has a sister, Isabella, and she moves into their estate. And once Heathcliff finds out about the engagement, he flees. He goes away. And Cathy's like, "Why did you leave? How could you leave? Oh no." And he's like, "Well, you were getting married and I'm miserable." Everybody's miserable. And this movie is in a lot of ways about continuing the cycle of abuse. And it's weird because the whole thing wants to be about romance and lust and desire, but it's also about control and how miserable these people are and how living in this estate, like, Cathy is like miserable and all the walls are kind of closing in on her. And the movie is like, it's made in a way that feels like it's trying to torture its audience as well as these characters. And I don't understand. I don't think Margot Robbie is very good in this. The scripting just feels like ridiculous with the kind of things that are happening, and the nastiness of like how lusty everybody is and how there's like this ickiness with food and stuff, and it's just like, why are we doing this? Also the sex scenes and all the things of lust and desire that are supposed to happen, these moments, and the tightening of a corset, blah blah blah, not done well. None of this feels very sexy, and if it's trying to not feel sexy, it's also annoying. It's just a mess of a film. I do think the music by Charlie XCX, however, is actually pretty good, as well as the scoring that is done by Anthony B. Willis in conjunction with that. Like, I don't mind that, but the cinematography is like a little flat at times when it should be grand and it should feel cool and pretty, and it just doesn't suit like a lot of the settings, and all the pacing for everything like moves too quickly. It's like there's almost like more story told within this movie, and it's all chopped up and done in a way that just doesn't make anything feel lived in, and that's really a big disservice to the audience. Like, I should feel like I understand every nook and cranny of this estate that Cathy is confined to, but it feels like we're barely there. And then like the scenes with the moors where like it's outside and everybody can be free and really let their desires run wild, it's like it's not really used enough. It's weird. Just a lot of bad choices made in a movie that wants to be very sexually well done and provocative, and lustful. Like, how many times do I gotta say that? Any attempts at eroticism? No, it doesn't work. And I just feel shortchanged on this. Like, I wanted some kind of big, lusty kind of movie, and it's like the movie wants to do that too, but isn't capable of it. There's not enough talent behind the camera, and the scripting also is bad and doesn't serve these people well. Its dialogue is like silly. I'm saying all this because I want you to know that I don't really care how much this movie is faithful to the book at whatever it's doing. Oh no, I just want to have a good time in the movies. You know, I want things to be sexy and fun, and it feels like from the marketing, this movie also wants to be sexy and fun, not sexy and miserable. Yeah, again, it feels like this movie is, I don't know if it was the intent to really talk about this cycle of abuse, but the things that happen with like Isabella and Heathcliff, it feels like there's a scene injected in here to give like an out as far as consent, but I also don't really believe that scene. It feels like Isabella is too young and not really able to consent to what Heathcliff starts to do to her in reaction to what Kathy's life is and like him being shut out. Like, what the hell? It's just kind of a disaster. It's ugly. It's not really as exciting and visually compelling as it really wants to be. It just feels flat and dull and a bit of a waste. Like, I see all the money on the screen, but it's just not done well. It's so weird. Ooh, yeah, I wanted this to be fun. I wanted to be like, you know, big and ridiculous and all the things it's trying to do. It's just not good at doing. Not at all. Though this might be Emerald Fennell's best movie. Like, I could tolerate most of it despite all my, oh my God, my rolling of the eyes at all the decisions as it continuously turned into a train wreck of a film. Yeah, I know these people are miserable and such, but do I have to be miserable too watching them? Like, I'm all for having a bad time at the movies with people who are miserable, but this isn't even good at that. Though I do have the takeaway from this script and how it sort of develops and how these people treat each other. You could turn this into a camp classic if you gave the same script to John Waters and just had him go at it. Like, some things akin to like a Dirty Shame with the sexuality and the shamefulness of, you know, some of the things that Kathy does, and then maybe the desire for fulfillment and the conflict of Francine Fishpaw in Polyester. Like, apply those same structures to this script and you could have a camp classic. I'm serious. I was thinking those things. I was thinking better things than what Wuthering Heights actually gave me. Yeah. I mean, I just, like, how is it that the costumes, where they should have so much detail and extravagance to them, all just feel cheap and bad? And maybe that's the point, but I'm still watching this movie. I'm still taking this in, and it feels like a bad attempt at something for what reason? Yeah. And again, the production design, there are details I can tell are happening here in the scenery, and we don't get to experience that. None of this feels lived in. None of this feels like an attempt was made to really feel this film for us as an audience. It's just all happening too quickly and without any heft. What a disaster. 1.5 stars for Wuthering Heights from 2026, directed by Emerald Fennell. Oh gosh, I would only hope that this plays so much better at home as like a rental. I'm so curious if it does. I will probably rewatch it when it's on HBO Max. I know it's going there because it's a Warner Brothers picture, but I don't have high hopes for it. And yeah, I watched Wuthering Heights from 1939, and it's so much better than this. Yeah. Oh, Margot Robbie. She produced this movie. Like, she's an actress who is more than capable of doing a character like this. And she feels like it's bad. I mean, she's also really too old for this part too. What could have been, what is not. Yeah, Jacob Elordi, like, he could be really, like, he could be, I mean, there's so many things he can do as a performer, and absolutely wasted. Okay, all right. Let's now talk about Louis Theroux's documentary Inside the Manosphere from 2026, directed by Adrian Choa. This is on Netflix. back in beta than ever. With rare access and no holds barred, the acclaimed documentarian investigates a growing ultra-masculine network and its controversial influencers. Louis Theroux has done like a number of TV specials for the BBC. He's done documentary films before, and I've seen some of them. This one, it's for Netflix, so I'll say this, I never have a really good impression of Netflix documentaries. I think this one is successful, and it's also on Netflix, so there's a lot of reach. A lot of people will watch this and understand like the truly horrifying, toxic grift culture that the Manosphere is. I'm an older person at this point compared to everybody in this movie. I'm almost in Louis' age bracket, you know, and I knew a lot of this stuff already, but it was still really horrifying to see in a documentary, and it's so concerning the way these men handle themselves and the way they treat the women in their lives and how disgusting they are. They're misogynist, chauvinist, you name it. They're kind of the worst kind of examples of masculinity, period. And they're getting popular, they're getting money, they're getting audiences, and there's really no one to stop them. And in the era of what we're in, of the Trump era, you know, Trump 2.0 with his second term, you know, they're thriving more than ever. And it's really sad what has become of these people and how they gain an audience. Young people don't have the they don't have the forethought to think, you know, maybe this is really bad for me. It's unhealthy and it's scary. And the way that they treat people and, you know, sort of give way to treating people. And even Louis becomes a victim of some of their antics and like the things that are, you know, talked about on the internet. It's really despicable. And I think this is a good documentary. I don't think it's a great documentary. It feels like there's maybe a missing piece to the puzzle to really talk about the rise of this and how it's come to be. But when it comes to, you know, your YouTubes, your Twitches, all those different platforms, it's out there. This kind of content is there. It's present, and young men are consuming it, and it has become their lives and how they handle themselves. And it's a very sad portrait of how lives can be and how these guys are truly grifters and taking advantage of these audiences out there who are searching for meaning and maybe for comfort, and yet they fall into this trap of just very ugly culture. So I think Louis Theroux's documentary Inside the Manosphere, I think it's worth a look. I gave this 3 stars. Netflix, it's out there. You can watch it. It's not available as a digital rental. This might tell you everything you already know about the Manosphere. That's fine. You know, it's great that it's out there and it's available to watch and check out if you're unaware. I mean, I think that's one important thing about film and documentaries especially, is showing people a portrait they have of something they might not be aware of, especially since a lot of this is happening in a part of internet culture that's not always going to be mainstream too. All right, so up next, our final film. It is Undertone from 2025, though just released in theaters. It is directed by Ian Towson. The tagline is, "It wants to be heard." The host of a popular paranormal podcast becomes haunted by terrifying recordings mysteriously sent her way. Nina Kiri plays Evie. She hosts a podcast with Justin, who is voiced by Adam DeMarco, and they like to listen to strange paranormal happenings and people's and audios and such, and they like to investigate, and they are sent a batch of 10 recordings through an email, and they start to decipher and listen in and try to figure out what all this messaging means and what is happening. And all the while, Evie is living in a house with her mother, who is bedridden, and her mother is more or less, you know, just in a coma, but not, you know, not really, but just like she's not able to talk. She's not able to communicate with Evie. Evie is just taking care of someone who was there, but also not there at all. This movie was really not for me. I'm sad to say. There was a lot of paranormal stuff that I think is too conventional and too cliche and very tropey that we've all kind of seen before, so it really showed me nothing new in that respect, and its eventual conclusion just didn't really work for me. But I want to give Ian Towson some credit. I think this is actually a pretty well crafted film, despite all those things happening and really not working for me. The direction of it, the way that it looks, I mean, well, it's like It's very well made, and it's very much a small film for just taking place in a house. And I think its use of space is actually good. I think some of the camera work is good. The editing is good. It's the finer details that are all part of the script and the story as it progresses that just didn't work for me. Another thing, this is a me problem, but Nina Kiri playing Evie, she looks and sounds just like Gala Avery, who is one of the co-hosts of the Video Archives podcast with her father Roger Avery and Quentin Tarantino. Like, I was like, this is Gala Avery. She looks just like her. She sounds just like her, but it's not. And then Adam DeMarco, who voices Justin, unfortunately, the way that he pronounces and says his lines and the sounds of it as his dialogue, it all reminded me so much of an entertainment segment in the Quinn app, which is a mature entertainment app for women. It was very distracting. Not just distracting that, like, Nina Kiri is like Gala Avery's doppelganger and sounds like her, but then this Quinn app stuff happening with Adam DeMarco's dialogue as Justin, I just was like, okay, this is like really not working for me right now. I eventually like figured out how to get over it, but even so, it like lingered in the back of my mind. Yeah, but even if those things weren't happening for me, the kind of way this story works and how it unfolds, like hearing things in dialogue and voices, I just was not into it. It just kind of went down a path I could not feel convinced by. This is just not for me. As a podcaster, I really don't want to criticize the way that this podcast is recorded. I don't know how other people record their podcasts. I'm not going to judge, but I just don't think a lot of this really works in that space, in this podcast and what it's doing. This is just not for me. I had to give this one 1.5 stars, despite the fact that so much of how this movie looked and how it was generally crafted was fairly successful. And that is a complaint I have often. I don't think a lot of horror movies are well made, well produced, and feel like solid. Like there's a good base for how this world will kind of play out to our senses. And yet, I'm still giving this a low rating. Oh, it's just too bad. Yeah, Undertone from 2025, though just released in theaters, directly by Ian Townsend, as I said. 1.5 stars. Really not for me. I'm so sorry. But I know this works for other people. Part of why I saw it is because I heard some praise from people I know who I want to know what kind of horror movies they like and this and that. And I'm not in that club, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm really tough with horror movies because it's just got to work. I got to buy into it. I got to be entertained. I got to be scared. I got to be feeling something. And I just instead was thinking of other things the whole time, and when its climax happened, I was just, no, I was not into it. I don't want to spoil it. And yeah, but, hey, that is the episode. I got through everything. I've had so many audio recording problems trying to get this episode done. I hope this sounds good. I'm gonna listen to it afterwards and we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Go to YouTube and search Cinema 5000 Podcast if you would like to. The website cinema5000.com has links including to my letterbox if you want to check that out. If you want to send me an email, send it to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. You can also follow along on Bluesky, Cinema 5000. Again, my name is Mallory. Thank you so much for listening. I have more movies I'm going to see soon. The rewatch recap episode is going to be next, though. That's going to be recapping everything I watched in January, February, and March. I do that quarterly. So after April 1st, look for the next episode where I talk about things I watched and how I felt about them. For better or worse, I don't rewatch a lot of movies I don't like, but it happens. But yeah, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.